I did remember yesterday while Shepard Smith was on Fox News, on the Fox News big iPad deck or whatever they call it, CARE had condemned the shootings. I think the only group so far that's come out and condemned the terror attack from yesterday. If you want to call in and sound off on it, feel free. And it's one of those that it pisses me off so much. It really does. And at the same time, there's just, what else do you say? Until we get some real leadership in this country. Because let's face it. Let's be completely honest. President Obama's not going to do anything. He's not. Nothing's going to change. It would be fantastic if this president were to come out and say, from now on, until we have eradicated radical Islam, all members of our military are allowed to carry wherever they go. And I truly mean wherever they go. Whatever business they walk in, especially if they're in uniform, you're allowed to carry wherever you go. If you're a member of the U.S. military. That's how it should be. If you're in a military facility especially, you're allowed to carry. It would be wonderful for our president to come out and say that. But we know that's not going to happen. I don't know about you, but I was very disappointed yesterday when they went live to the president, or I guess slightly delayed to the president. And they showed his response. Did you see that? Did you see the president's response? Where he was in the Oval Office and he was talking about how it's heartbreaking and tragedy. But he wasn't fired up. This guy gets fired up about a damn Confederate flag. He gets fired up about a thug punching out a cop, attempting to steal the cop's gun, and the thug gets shot and killed. The president gets fired up about that. But a terrorist attack is in the Oval Office, and it's almost like he shrugged it off. It was one of those where, not granted, he didn't have all the information, but give me a break. Said, when does this president hold back when he doesn't have all the information? I mean, he just sat there and said it was heartbreaking, and you would expect a president to say this is unacceptable. That he's angry. That, yes, he's saddened, he's angry, and we're going to find whoever did this, whoever's responsible. Whether it was just this guy by himself, or whether he was tied in. But the larger problem is we have a problem with radical Islam, not only in this country, but around the world. And we're going to do everything we can as a superpower to take out radical Islam. That's what you expect to hear from the commander-in-chief. That's what I want to hear. I don't want him to cut to a guy in the Oval Office who's just kind of, well, this is a tragedy, and we're very saddened by this, and we're going to ask for prayers. It's a tragedy. Okay, thanks, Mr. President. Appreciate it. Doing a great job. You get more fired up about thugs who are shot than Marines. Okay. Again, it's just, there's a disconnect. And we know nothing's going to change. We know absolutely nothing will change. And if Hillary Clinton's president, nothing's going to change on that. We know this. Hell, look at her response to Benghazi. We already got a taste of what's to come if Hillary Clinton's president. And so it makes me upset. It makes me very upset because there's a lot to say, but at the same time, it is this feeling that in the Oval Office right now, it doesn't matter to them. And that's horrible to say. And no one would ever say that when George W. Bush was president. No one would ever say Bush didn't care. or that he had an attitude of someone who didn't care. You knew George W. Bush cared. With President Obama, if I'm honest, okay, does he? Does he at the end of the day? Is that what he really cares about? The same guy who went and lectured, what was it, the Coast Guard maybe? That the greatest threat was climate change? I'm sorry, climate change didn't just kill 4 Marines. Climate change hasn't declared a jihad against our armed forces and against American citizens. I don't think climate change did that. But instead, the president will go around. He'll talk more about climate change than he will about radical Islam. And nothing will change. And that's why this upcoming election, it's huge. Because my big fear is that if we have another Democrat elected, I mean, how many times, while George W. Bush was president, how many times did you say, thank God George W. Bush won instead of Al Gore after September 11th? And I know there are still people out there who don't like George W. Bush, but just remember, you could have had Al Gore as president. And I remember there were a lot of people who said, thank God George W. Bush. And on 9/11 and after 9/11, there were people who were just thanking God that George W. Bush was our president instead of Al Gore. We'd probably be saying that right now if it was President Mitt Romney. Thank God it's President Mitt Romney instead of Barack Obama right now. Think about if we elect Hillary Clinton as a nation. That it's just going to get worse. Because the Democrats don't care. It's all about climate change. It's all about all these other issues. I can't remember who brought it up in the last hour. It's all about gay marriage. It's all about transgender issues and making sure that grown-ass men can walk into the woman's bathroom. Making sure that that's okay. Hey, we got to make sure that the Democrats have spoken more about making sure that our military embraces transgender soldiers than they have about arming our soldiers at military facilities. What world do we live in? That's where we are right now. And things have got to change. If we're going to win this thing, if there's any hope in my mind of defeating this radical, cancerous threat that is out there, we got to start being honest about what's happening. And we have to be honest and say, you know what? It's going to take a little ass kicking. And yes, it's going to be a prolonged event. It's going to be a prolonged war. But we are at war right now. And we'll continue to see those signs as every now and then the president decides, hey, let's drop a couple of bombs. Not too many, but just a couple of bombs. You know, we don't want to rile up the region too much. We're still trying to do our little outreach here and there. Let's give them jobs. That'll make ISIS like us. 770-5790, toll free, 1-800-687-0790. If you're on hold, stay where you are. We'll pick you up when we come back here on the Chad Hasty Show. Let's go back to the phones, and let's see, Larry, you're on KFYO.
How are you doing today?
Doing all right, Larry. How about yourself?
Another day in paradise. Driving up to Lubbock and listening to your program, and you're dead on. We've got to get a president that knows what the heck they're doing, and that goes all the way down to the local level. And it's we're still paying for the sins of Jimmy Carter's era. So I got a feeling we're going to spend at least 20 years cleaning up this current president's mess, unfortunately. But
right,
we need to do something about getting the people that elect presidents and other senators and congressmen that have skin in the game. And that if that calls for only being able to vote if you have property or have a good job, and if you're just sitting at home living off the home and you're a functional human being, I don't think you should be allowed to vote, to be real honest. I've got a son who's handicapped and needs help every way, and I'd be more than happy to help people like that all over this country.
Mm-hmm.
But, we've got so many messes going on right now that it's just going to take forever to clean it up.
I think that's true. Absolutely. Larry, thanks for the call. Appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend. Let's go back to the phones. Carl. Hello, Carl.
How you doing, Chad? I almost hung up. I almost didn't tune you in this morning.
Why?
Because I'm upset about this.
Oh, okay.
The shooting of the Marines. I'm Fire Service Marine, and I'm fired up about it, and I'm sickened by it. I served under Ronald Reagan, and actually home on leave when that Beirut and Lebanon crisis went down, when that car bomb killed those 226 Marines.
Mm-hmm.
They had me back in gear and in a hangar in less than 23 hours, and we had that cleaned up in 3 weeks. I mean, Reagan just didn't mince words. He got riled up over hostages. You remember the night before he swore in, he said, if they're not on a plane, we're coming after them.
Yeah.
And I don't just blame Obama for being a puke civilian that has no care for this country or this military. I blame the commandant. We had a commandant back then. Commandant has a lot of power in the Marine Corps. Every one of those NCOs yesterday could have been wearing their service 45 and should have been. And Marine bases are a lot tighter. I've got 2 sons that were in the Army, and I went to both their graduation ceremonies. And, I mean, there's a freaking highway running through Fort Benning. But Marine bases are secure. They're different. And I've never seen anything like some of these Army bases I've been to. But I just hope that we have a different president in 2016. I think this cat wants to be king. And if he can get martial law declared in any state, elections aren't going to happen. But we need change in our military commanders. We need changes in the Secretary of Defense. We need changes in the DOD. I mean, it's not just the president.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Yesterday when I saw his news conference, that was the last news I watched yesterday because I just get so freaking mad. I can't stand it.
Wasn't it just pathetic? I mean, it is. I understand taking a somber tone, and every now and then, yes, you need to take a somber tone. But to me, that wasn't even a somber. It was just a, yeah. What do you want? What do you expect?
We'll pray for you. I don't know who he's going to pray to. And he won't call it an act of terrorism. The guy's name's freaking Mohammed. He was born in Kuwait. Remember what was going on in Kuwait in 90?
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah. Fox did a good job connecting the dots on that, by the way. Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they brought that up as just this is interesting. Here's what was going on when this guy was born in Kuwait. Here's what was going on, and whether that had influence on his beliefs. I'm sure that'll all come out. I'm sure it did at some point. So yeah,
you'd have made a good Marine, Chad. I really love the way you get hot about this, and I love your show. And you and me agree about 99.9% of the time. And I tell you what, you do a great job at keeping a lot of uninformed people informed. I wouldn't mind seeing you run for some office someday. I think you've got a lot of future there. Well,
Carl, thank you very much.
I hope you have a great weekend, man.
You too. Thank you, Carl. Have a good one. Let's go back to the phones before the bottom of the hour break. And Ricky, you're on KFYO.
Hey, good morning, Chad. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Ricky.
Yeah, I'm pretty fired up about this, a lot more than our president, but it just, I blame the American voter for this man. And and also, too, our Congress and senators. I blame all them guys for everything that's happened here. I mean, it's ridiculous to have 4 Marines killed like that on our land. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm getting tired of it. It just, people don't realize that every Democrat that's been elected has done nothing but destruction to this country. Right. The Clintons, when they were in office and they had parties, they used those servicemen as waiters. What a sick disgrace, man. That's all these people do. They love everything that's wrong about everything that's wrong, everything they think they can change. They love everything that's sick. They don't like anything that's right. They like change for the worse. That's all they like. I mean, it's just a sad deal, man. I blame the American people for not voting. I blame the GOP for not running strong candidates. When are they going to get it through their head to quit running these little wishy-washy people? That's why everybody likes Trump, because Trump comes out and says it. We like people like that who are sick and tired of these elected officials, doing and thinking they can do whatever they want. Congress has never stopped this man at anything, never once slapped his hand and told him he can't do this. It's unconstitutional. And I say it every time. I'm not happy with Randy Nagarel. Not at all, I'm not. And I've called his office countless times. I'm just tired of this. I mean, people need to start voting. People need to get their act together and quit voting for these people who are selling out our country.
Ricky, thanks for the call. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me on, man.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend. 770-5790, toll free, 1-800-687-0790. Had this tweet sent in. And remember Bush's speech on top of the rubble of the World Trade Center? Juxtapose that to Obama's comments. The only time Obama gets fired up is when a white cop shoots a black guy or climate change is involved. But that seems to be the only time that he gets really fired up about anything. Well, okay, I'm sorry. He got fired up about the racist kid who went in and murdered people inside the church. He got fired up about that, which he should have. Everybody should have been very upset about that. But upon hearing the death of 4 Marines, we're going to pray, and yeah, it's a tragedy, guys. It's just, what are you going to do? I mean, that's the attitude. That's the attitude that he took.